Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. What's up? Let's go. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited. I'm also sporting my new Growth Day hat. Love it, love it, love it. Y'all, today's going to be super fun. Thank you so much for attending, taking time out of your Friday to hang out. Today, we're going to talk about life scoring and creating benchmarking habits. Something that has absolutely been a game changer for me over the last, let's see, like 5 or 6 years, where when I started understanding that I needed to get a better understanding of how I'm performing over the days, over the months, over the weeks, over the years, but also how am I really like stepping up my game to make sure I'm on the right track, to make sure I'm working on the things that actually matter, that actually move the needle. And it's super critical and helpful that we built that directly in the app in Life Scores. So today we're going to dive into Life Scores and look at that. I'm just letting people in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And then we're going to open it up for questions. And if anybody has any questions about the app and things that we're working on, things that we're releasing, be happy to answer any questions that I can ask, and we're just gonna have a ton of fun today. So how's everybody's Friday going? Let me just check in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, let's go. All right, cool. Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you all being here, and I hope you've been having a great week of growth, a great week of learning, developing, and just having a good time, because that's what it's all about, right? Let's go. And today we're talking about life scores. This is one of the things, like, I think when we were first building Growth Day, I had drawn out like a ton of these, and I'm like, what is this called? It's called Life Scores. And this was like the first time I wrote it out. And then I had it on my bulletin board, and I'm like, this is going to be a cool feature. This is going to be a really cool experience. Taking what we had in the high performance planner, somewhere around here it is. Taking what we had here, where you're benchmarking how you're performing every single week, and you're scoring it across, the most important areas of your life, which a lot of the research and definition that Danny, one of our other Growth Day research scientists, and Brendan, when they came up with this system and they did their research for what questions you should be asking, we put all that inside the app, which makes it incredibly easy to make sure that you are actually asking some bigger questions. And that, again, works within the journal as well. So pretty awesome stuff. Oh my gosh, Audrey, you were teaching. That's really cool. So you were teaching almost 8 hours. So I'll make sure that this is a nice, fun session for you to end your day. If this is later, it is only 2:35 p.m. my time, but this is a whole. We have a good 30-minute session in here today. Oh, dang. Okay. All right. Right on. Well, the first thing that I want to talk about with this is, let me just make some a little bit more room for my screen here. And I'm going to open up a new window. And feel free to, if you want, to open up a new window and head over into the Life Score section. So there's like three main topics that I do want to cover today around like why benchmarking is so important. And one is that benchmarking is to me, it's just a way to draw a line in the sand, or to measure what matters most. And there's a lot of really good books on this too, like Measure What Matters, if you're thinking about, if you're inside of a product or a development team, and really understanding like, well, what questions am I asking on a weekly basis, or even daily basis, or monthly basis, to make sure that I'm on the right path, to make sure I'm moving in a direction that is going to be impactful for myself, impactful for my family, impactful for my team, and impactful, depending on what service and what you're building globally, but like, what does it look like as you impact your company, society, the bigger like things that you might not think you have an impact on. But if you're producing content, or you're producing and you're showing up on social media, you can be impacting a lot of other people. So thinking about how you do that over time is pretty important. So open up Life Scores if you want, and we're just gonna do some Life Scores today. And I'm gonna share my screen and just walk you through and talk you through this. And again, if you have any questions today, or just in it for the show, in it for just getting more insights around Life Scores and benchmarking habits, then feel free to message in the chat what things you might be doing that's working well, or maybe things that you think you need to improve on, and we can just have those conversations too. All right, benchmarking. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to head over to there. So I know this is small, so like feel free to use gallery mode if you want to see my photo and then this thing on the left. I know it's small, so don't feel like you have to look at everything in this little tiny screen, but if you just want to open it up on your end, then you can do that as well, okay? All right, cool. All right, so first things first, let's go in and do a daily habit. Now, again, we set this up as daily, weekly, and monthly because each of these certain types of benchmarks and these scorecards have different purpose and different meanings throughout your days, weeks, or months. So we have the daily scorecard. So if I jump into the daily scorecard, I'm going to be asked 10 questions. And the research shows us that when we bring in the high performance habits, which is clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage, these are like the core 6. And these core 6 were from the research from High Performance Habits, the book, in Brennan's book, and also from the plethora of research from researching the highest performers out in the industry and understanding what they were doing consistently over the long term to increase their productivity and wellness, like over that long term. And what were they doing? What were the things they were doing on a consistent basis? And the first one is clarity, right? I knew my why and lived intentionally today. I feel like I go back to clarity every single week, every single day naturally from doing this scorecard. And I just want to remind you, when you go through and you do your scorecards, you don't have to like judge yourself so hard, but you got to be thinking about, well, from 1 to 5, like, how did I do? 1 is like you barely have any idea what you're trying to achieve and what you're doing throughout the day, and but I think just by even being inside of Growth Day, you're at least a 3 because you came in here and you clicked on this life score and you're like, okay, I know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work my personal development. So another thing to drive into there. And there was a question here. I just want to make sure I answer these questions throughout this talk. I wish that it was on a scale from 1 to 10 versus 1 to 5 in life scores. Well, that would be telling me, okay, well, we simplified this 1 to 5 ratio here for these dailies because you're doing it so much. It's like a daily thing. But when you're going in and doing the monthly one, it is a little bit bigger. That score, but the scores similar are not going to be too big of a difference. So when you're coming in, just think of it as like you're just like checking in really quick. It's a quick check-in. How am I doing? And I'm going to put my clarity at a 5 because it's just a practice that I do every single day. And I've been challenging myself to kind of push my boundaries a little bit more. Like I've been doing like a daily video on social, and it's been, I've been trying to just really share like the top things that have been so impactful in my career and my life. But that's like something that I've been really practicing. So I just want to encourage you to do those sorts of things. Oh, thank you. All right, energy. So the next question, the daily habits. I manage my mental and physical energy well. Gosh, energy is just one of those things. Again, when you come back every day, am I feeling low energy? Am I feeling high energy? Just from even asking this question, you can really think and do a quick little benchmark. Well, okay, did I sleep well last night? Did I eat well this morning? Did I miss a meal? Like, did I have a tough conversation with somebody? Did it drag my energy down or did it boost my energy up? Just having a quick reflection like that can be dramatically impactful so that you can course correct. And even if you have a low score today, you can have a better score tomorrow. So I'm going to put my energy at 5. You see, I'm fired up for this. So necessity, another really important thing. And Brendan just released a new Audible. If you haven't checked it out, it's free. It's on Amazon and it's an Audible original. It's about the 6 habits that and it's not about the high performance habits, but it's 6 habits. And he talks about motivation and leadership and purpose and a lot of really great topics. But it comes back to necessity. Like, why is this important? And do you feel like you have an intrinsic motivating energy for why you do what you do? And I gotta say, my necessities always come back to my family and how I want to support them and how I want to give them just a beautiful life, fun, energetic, happy. So think about what you do on a daily that it has a high level of necessity, and how often are you connecting to that necessity? Like when you feel like you're maybe unmotivated, what's something that is going to get you out of bed and get you motivated on the things that are most important to you? Oh yeah, 6 Habits of Growth. Thanks, Bray, for calling that out. It's such a good. I have like 30 more. I'm an audio guy, so I have about 30 more minutes of that. But it's been very impactful, and it's a great, quick, like 5-6 hours of Audible. It's really fantastic. Sweet, everybody's starting it. Very cool. Love it. All right, let's keep going. So I hope you're doing this also alongside with me, so you can get through yours as well. So I'm going to put a 5 at necessity. All right, productivity. I worked on the things that mattered most today. Now, I know I still have the full day. We're going to be doing, after this, we have a status update and some other things that I need to close the door on for the end of the week. But my productivity has been a little bit lower than normal. And, I think it's okay when your productivity is a little bit lower. I've transitioned to having to take my son to school. He started school, and it's a new thing for us. So, like having to drive a little bit more, it's not something I really like to do, but I'm having to motivate myself to drive through the hills of North Carolina a little bit more. And I was just like, I was used to the Bay Area where you don't have to drive too far to get places. It's like 10-15 minutes, and even in the Bay Area, because everything's kind of so close and compact. But out here in North Carolina, things are a little bit further away, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get places. And for me, I like just running or walking the places. So it's something that's kind of really drawn down my productivity, but I'm still like shooting hard for it. But I'm going to give myself a 3 on this because I think I can do a lot better. But I'm dialing in that new system. And that's another important thing, right? We're talking about life scoring and creating these benchmarking habits. Now, I'm aware of this productivity, that my productivity has been lower over the last 2 weeks. So I'm imagining and I'm thinking about, well, what can I do to make it even better? Well, I can wake up an hour earlier. Well, I've already been doing that. So I'm not gonna wake up even earlier than what I'm already doing. But what I can do is I can think about, well, when I show up in those block times that I have set up, how can I even be even more intentional to make sure that I have all the things necessary in my lap, in front of me, like a plan, like my journal, so I'm clear in my mind. I've been journaling, so it's really clear on what I need to do, and then I have a really clear roadmap and plan of what I need to execute. And because I have that, that's going to help with my productivity, but it's not going to give me all the things because I still need to work on these new like rhythms that are in my life. But, just like anything, you get better and better and better the more you work on it. So again, that's what benchmarking is all about. You can gather insights of where you currently are and how you're performing so that you can course correct and make things a little bit better. Love it, love it, love it. All right, let's keep going. Influence. I guided or treated others well today. I got to say, like, this is something too that is something that I feel like is such a pivotal part of my life. And, having to show up as a role model for my family and kiddo, having to show up as a role model for my team, having to be there and be present for others. I think I'm doing pretty good at this, but I'm going to give myself 4 because I can do better next week. And courage. I shared my real self, thoughts, and feelings today. I'm doing that right now, y'all. I'm going to give myself a 5, and I want you to encourage you to just keep going through this daily habit with us, this daily habit scorecard. Movement, got my running, got this working out. These are another good ways to be like checking in with yourself. You do not have to train for a marathon every single day, but if that's you, that's awesome, and you could keep doing that. But if you just need to get a little bit better on where you're at with, running, walking, exercising, moving that body, this is going to be also a really solid, healthy habit for you to practice and just to recheck in on how you're doing with that. Mood, feeling positive, keep going with that. Sleep, and sleeping and making sure that you're getting quality sleep. It's another great little check. Nutrition, eating well, and it's good to know like these things kind of connect and correlate to each other, right? You're sleeping better if you're eating better, your mood's a little bit better, your movement, if you're moving, your mood and sleep can be a little bit better too, because you're actually tired at night and you're not wound up, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you're just so wound up you can't get to sleep. So it's like getting in that movement throughout the day will help you sleep better as well at night. And also having the clarity as far as what you're doing and why it's important, and you have that necessity of why you're motivated to do the things you want to do. All these things are interconnected and are all correlated. So that's why it's also so important to come in here and do these scores. All right, cool. So we did our score. And then at the end of a scorecard, and if you've never seen, and is there anybody in here, it looks like I've all familiar faces, so everybody here is like super pro inside of the GrowthDay app. But if you haven't yet used the GrowthDay app and this is your first time benchmarking and journaling, or not journaling, but just doing your benchmarks and life scores, you'll notice that we have recommendations at the bottom, and you can also come in here and see kind of like your history. And your history is going to allow you to see how you've been trending over the period of time, right? So my lowest score is a 92, and it can kind of see how it's gone up and down. Oh boy, like kind of going back down, but I'm gonna get it back up. And for me, I like that challenge. I like this way of improving this over the long term. And then you can also come in down lower and see like your recommendations in line, or you can come in and write specific journals about those specific days. This is also important. If you know that you had a lower scoring day, you can get that quick reflection in to make sure that, oh yeah, I wasn't doing so well here. This is what I could be doing better. It's not about judging yourself hard. It's just about quickly journaling and reflecting about what happened, and just sharing about it. You know, just this is what happened. Oh, this conversation was really hard. I learned this from this conversation. Next conversation, I'm going to do a little bit better. That quick, light touch point with your emotions, it can help you quickly get back on track so that you can show up better the next time. You know, let's go. All right, cool. So we did our daily benchmark. Now, appreciate you, Bray. That's cool. So let's just see here. So weekly review. And I've been saving this weekly review with y'all because this one takes a little bit more time. But I got to say, like the weekly benchmark is kind of like a gift to yourself. This is a gift of acknowledging how you're performing, how you're doing. This is across these 6 high performance habits. So if you haven't read that book, definitely encourage it. If you haven't read it in a couple years, go back and read it again. If you don't like reading, then go listen to the audiobook. And it's also even in the course section of the app. And if you have a starter membership, then you can watch it and listen to it for like it's a part of that membership. And if you want to get all the courses, then we have a new all access plan that unlocks every single thing in the library. It's $4.99, which is, you know, it's a little bit more for like courses, but it has over $8,000 or $9,000 worth of content in there. So it's incredibly valuable, and you get that, you know, $4.99 for a whole year. So I think it's incredibly worth it. And coming through here and seeing how you can do these benchmarks on a weekly basis, it's just another one of those like linchpins for me that I'm like, okay, and I'm going to come in here and look at this, and I'm going to come in here and be intentional about how I'm doing this. So I was intentional with how I acted this week, 100%. I knew the feelings I wanted to generate this week. Absolutely. I'm just going to kind of go through this. And if you're like kind of like challenged with whether you give yourself a 3 or 4 or 5, don't overthink it. Just plop it down. If you're on mobile, you can do this really fast, and the UI in the mobile app just kind of sits there, so you don't even really have to move your whole hand. You can just like tap, 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 tap. But again, I just want to encourage you to do it and not be so judgmental about your scores. Just think about, this is my benchmark. Be honest with yourself. Have a little fun with it. I stay focused as much as I wanted to. Yeah. I stayed focused. I made this week meaningful. Yes. I determined something I can get better at this week. Yes. For me, something I can get better at this week is, I think, just like in general, leadership. We're hiring a lot of people. We're growing. And for me, I just want to continually being a good leader in this organization. And I just know there's things that I can do to get better at that. So I'm going to keep working on that. Reading a couple books on it, and also listening to Mr. Brendan on his new book. So just as always something new. But I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm just going to keep learning and keep growing so I can be better for myself, my team, my family. Let's go. All right, generate energy, another great one. And okay, yeah, I'm gonna go a little faster to make sure. And also, if anybody in the room feels like talking about how benchmarks and life scoring has changed their life and work through there, we'll have a like at least a good 4 minutes to do this at the end of the call, and I'll bring you up if you want to do that. Just raise your hand if you do want to share anything. No worries if you don't. So I managed my energy well this week. Let's go. Yeah, I chose to bring the joy. Yes. I recharged throughout the week to stay energized. I didn't do this as much. I didn't recharge as much. I've been super laser focused on a couple releases. We got the video player last week. There's a couple other big things that are coming soon. I didn't recharge as much, but I'm super energized and excited about what's coming, so I'll give it a 4. And I worked out this week, yes, every day. I wound down this week. I've just been going to bed a little bit earlier, but I didn't necessarily like wind down, so I'll just give myself a 4. Keep going. Raise necessity. I was emotionally committed to the excellence this week. Yes. I knew my why this week and worked for it. Absolutely. I cared about serving others this week, always. I hit my deadlines and finished my work duties. Yes. I managed I'm pretty good about talking myself up and giving myself some motivation, and I have no problem with that. I was an athlete growing up, and I still consider myself an athlete and in my mindset. And, I'm definitely not throwing people out at second base anymore when I was a catcher. But I feel like I'm catching a lot of issues and challenges and problems, and I'm delivering it, to the team when they need it and trying to align things as best as I can. So, think about how you self-talk and what does your A game even look like? And thinking about that and thinking about how you can even show up better for yourself. Thanks, Kelly. All right. Kelly had a question. Okay. For example, okay. I'm just reading your question really quick, Kelly. Here's a really great thing. So Kelly was talking about like going between a 5 or a 3. And the beautiful thing about this is it is self-regulated. So that's why we have a low and a high. Now, for you, there might only be 1 or 2 things that you feel like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this better next week. But I wouldn't go down the route of being too hard on yourself about like, oh, is it a 3 or is it a 5? Just think about, well, is there areas of improvement for what you're doing? And so for me, in raising necessity, because I feel like I've been trained and I'm training my mind, my body, my spirit for necessity and to really connect with it every day with, meditating and understanding who I am and what I want to do. Like, come in and think about this. Well, I have a 1-4 on this screen right here. I cared about serving others this week. I have multiple experiences where I'm like really trying to serve others, but there is another level of that. So I put it as a 4 because I know I can get better at that improvement. Maybe it's a couple emails that I write to people that I love and adore. Maybe it's like I'm going to send some more text messages next week to my friends that I used to work with and make sure that they're doing well and make sure do they need any support. There was this huge acquisition at Figma and Adobe, which are 2 design tools, and that's my world. Like, so all the friends that I have at Adobe and Figma, like, they're going through so much change right now. And when you go through so much change, you got to be prepared and ready and supported by your friends, your loved ones, because there's a lot of change with an acquisition. Like, am I going to lose this? Am I going to lose that? And I've been through those acquisitions, so I can relate to that. And, next week I'll be more prepared because that happened this week. So that intentional thought is what this is all about. And that's why we do life scores. That's why we do a benchmark. Because if we weren't having this conversation, or we weren't going deep into our assessments here, reading these things, then we might not be bringing in that consciousness into our mind. So we're being very aware, we're being very conscious about what's going on, and now we can roll with it, we can get it going. All right, let's keep going through this. Productivity. I worked on things that matter most this week. Yes, I progressed a major dream. I'm gonna lower this. I am working on some other major things, but they were a little bit slower this week. I avoided distractions well this week. I did, yeah. I set intentions before each major activity this week, yes. And I fully engaged in enjoyed my work efforts. I definitely did that. But I still have a lot of improvement for this productivity. Influence. Yes. I got others in thinking well. Yes. I challenged someone. Yes. I'm going to change that because I had to do that multiple times this week. I worked on myself. Yes. I demonstrated carings for others. Yes. This is so much fun. I mean, you just get to go through and score yourself. I mean, you're going to get a grade. But guess what? It's your grade. And it's all that matters. You know, you don't have to show this with other people. I'm showing it to you because I love you all. It's just like no big deal. But you don't have to show this with other people unless you want to, because you want accountability. You want to show up better tomorrow. And it's just totally fine. Oh my gosh, 507 daily scores. That is amazing. I'm so daggone proud of you. It's so cool. So let's just finish this last one here. I dealt with fear and unknowns well this week. Yes. I shared my real self. Yes. I tried to stay confident. Yes. I responded quickly. Yes. And boom. Yeah. So there we go. We have it. We got our new score, and the same thing comes in. We get a little recommendations, and we're good to go. The same thing goes for the final monthly, right? Now we're going into the 10, and we can come through here and be like, yes, mental, emotional, yes, partner in love, family, probably more of an 8. And I know that we're just about to end this session. Here, let me stop sharing, because y'all, I know this was a quick one today. But I know life scores and benchmarking is such a critical thing. And for me, when I started doing this as a regular practice in my life, I started just becoming more intentional. And that intentionality is what really is going to drive that health. It's going to drive that mental awareness. It's going to drive better family engagements and interactions, because you're showing up just a little bit more aware. And that awareness is everything. So three things that, like, where's this at here? I have some 3 things with benchmarking that I want to leave you with. Journaling, course correction, and what was it? Celebrating. So the reason why we do benchmarks, the reason why we score ourselves through here, you can also do this for other things in your life, in your projects, in your homework that you do, and if you're running a business, these benchmarks allow you to see where you're currently at and see where you want to go. So if you can see where you're at and you can make one little nudge of improvement every single day, then you're going to see the results over the long term. So don't let anybody tell you that, growing slow is bad or growing slow is not going to work for you. You can grow slow because it's just you're going to get better over time. So feel that confidence and letting that, really just embracing that energy and letting that happen, because you can get better, and you are getting better just by being in this platform. So this week we talked about benchmarking life scores. I would love to know what you would love to see next in this next growth group next week, when we talk about how we're gonna we really have gone through journals, we've gone through life scores, we've gone through so much. I love you all, and I wish you a beautiful rest of your Friday, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, later.